The news, good evening. The Judiciary this morning activated its COVID-19 alert after a client coming from the airport entered the Palais de Justice without going through the required 5-day quarantine. The client was escorted to a holding area along with his lawyer to minimize interactions with others. The staff remained in their offices while this process took place, and other staff and lawyers from the Supreme Court Annex and Magistrate Court building were instructed not to go to the Palais de Justice building. The employees of the Village Management Association on Eden Island will now be paid their bonus. This was announced by the Secretary General of the Workers' Union, Antoine Robinson, and representatives of the workers of the VMA this afternoon. It follows a meeting they had with the Director General of the Village Management Association, the Chairman of the Board, and Mr. Robinson. Yesterday, the workers of Eden Island's VMA refused to work after they learned that they were not receiving their end-of-year bonus. The 100-odd workers refused to work after they saw notice on the notice board informing them that they would not be receiving their bonus as well as their 13th month salary. Employment officials are investigating staffing problems that have forced the closure of the new Matalan store. The British chain says that it had to shut its doors when its team, which should be 30 strong, shrank to 6 just after payday. But it's denied paying too little or asking too much of its workers, nor making up an excuse to employ foreigners.
Silent tills at Matalan, the store that apparently wasn't quite real-life ready for Seychelles. Empty aisles, customers closed out because it simply can't recruit and keep enough staff.
They are not used to long hours. They are not used in standing a lot. They are not used of, they want to go when it's their time to go home. They are ready to go home. Lunch also is the same. They are not used of keep on moving until the time is ready to go.
The store opened at the end of October after spending a year trying to recruit workers. It managed to employ just 17, with full-timers earning more than 10,000 rupees per month. Even with perks such as a 20% staff bonus, free lunch and transport home, the shop can't retain staff. And that's not just because they're unreliable or lazy, it's because many have medical or childcare issues. Some have quit, others were terminated, but the company's denied closing its doors as a ploy to recruit foreigners who would actually cost them more than employing locals.
We want more Seychellois. We really want our Seychellois youth to become, in this shop, all the people are very happy to see this shop moving and still opening. That's why we want our Seychellois in our shop in Seychelles.
The Employment Ministry declined to comment until it said a later date. In the meantime, the handful of remaining staff are replenishing shelves, still hoping for a pre-Christmas rush.
The Ministry of Transport has announced plans to start construction of a third lane on the Puetla Road from the airport to the police academy as of the middle of next year. Minister Anthony Dershak met officials from the Seychelles Civil Aviation Authority, the Land Transport Agency, and members of the National Assembly from 3 districts in the region on site at the airport to discuss the project. The project will be done in 3 phases and is expected to reduce traffic congestion and flooding on the road, which has been a problem for many years.
Government is very serious. We've waited for 3 years for the project to be started, but now we have agreed with SCA that land shall be given at the airport side until the cargo, and the funding, we will press for the funding to be in the budget. We need at least 7 million rupees. The concept is to construct a road in the first phase from the airport to Amalgamated Tobacco, opposite Amalgamated Tobacco. If the 3 private landowners agree to some encroachments on their properties, we should be able to start by May. and the tender process in April 2021. And the project will take around 7 months to complete. So we ought to be able to complete the third lane up to amalgamated tobacco in November, December 2021 next year.
The Seychelles Fishing Authority says that the algal bloom poisoning fish on the coast of Pralin, Dennis Island and Felicite has reached the shores of La Digue. When giving its preliminary findings to the research on the phenomenon, the principal fisheries scientist, Dr. Ami Ibrahim, said that samples collected around the affected areas and weather forecasts provided by the Met Office show that the algae is moving to other regions. The SFA continues to advise the public not to collect dead fish on the shores and to avoid eating fish caught in those regions. Meanwhile, the authority continues to monitor the situation and is asking the public to inform their officers if they see places where the algae is forming.
We received samples from Dennis Island and several areas around Pralin. So we commenced analysis at the SFA, and we found that the samples from Dennis were clear, which shows that we presume that it's moved away from Dennis, despite having reports of fish deaths on the island. And the samples from Pralin, specifically around the Aslasio area, Point Chevalier, and Point Zangui, we found concentrations of algae within the samples. And the Met Office has sent us some sea surface current maps. And these currents seem to indicate that the algal bloom is moving in a northeasterly direction of Pralin, which I'm going to say may avoid hitting Mahe. But as you all know, that weather cannot be really predicted. So if there is a change in condition, it may affect the other islands. So we are hopeful that if the currents continue the northeasterly direction, it will move out to sea.
And with this, we end this news summary. Thank you for watching. Have a very pleasant evening.